Good evening, Cape Flood Stories. I trust that you guys are well. Hoop het gaan goed saam met julle. I'm back in my old studio again. So yeah, I'm here. I have a very special guest tonight with us in the studio. Well known to many on the Cape Flats and well known to many people. I'm chatting with Dr. Ferlon in a few minutes. Dr. Ferlon Christians from the ACDP party. He's also the leader, the party leader here in Western Cape. So there's a lot of things we're going to talk about. And thank you so much for you guys that's tuned in. I want you to call more people to join this conversation. I want you to send me also questions that you guys feel I need to ask Dr. Ferlon. My WhatsApp line is 066 206 9207, 066 206 9207. So we're going to talk about the ACDP. I think it's going to be like any other night where we talk about, the safety and security issues, the education in the Western Cape, the challenges on the Cape Flats, and what political parties are doing, and how can we together find solutions. So please do send me a WhatsApp on 066 206 9207. I'm chatting with Dr. Ferlon now from the ACDP. Guys, you want to be part of this conversation, please do send me questions, and please do ask questions that it is relevant, because you know what, at the end of the day, like I always say, we need to talk to our councillors, to our people in Parliament. We need to have the conversation, and the narrative needs to change where, the way how we address them, the way how we talk to them. We have this thing on the Cape Flats where we speak to people without any respect, and we need to change that. And I believe if we talk to people with respect, then they're going to answer us back with respect. So I want you guys to please send me the messages, and please do send me the questions or the issue you want me to ask Dr. Ferlon. Good evening, Dr. Ferlon. Welcome to Cape Flats Stories.
No, so thank you very much for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Ons het 'n bietjie gesukkel, maar ons het dit reg gekry.
Yeah. Yes.
Dr. Ferlon, we know you as the ACDP leader in the Western Cape, but just before we go into the questions, I always want to know the person behind the name, behind the politician. I want to know the person. So tell us more about Dr. Ferlon, where he grew up, and from where is he, and his mission and his vision in life.
Thank you for that. Let me say, born and bred in Bonteheuwel, Fireflon Street, number 20. Born and bred there, went to Bersig Primary School and Bonteheuwel High. Was involved, in riots and throwing stones and all of that. Was involved in the UDF. And then, when I left school. That time I left school, I think grade 11, because we all, gave up school when we were involved in politics and throwing stones. And I was at home, and I could not find a job. And the only job I could find was a job as a cleaner. So I went to go work as a cleaner at Parliament Towers. And then, left Parliament Towers. I was actually fired because I, worked early hours of the morning. Don't think the supervisor liked the way I worked, and back chatted. And then I was at home, and then I, of course, being at home, I then started as a security guard. And in 1985, I started as a law enforcement officer from 1985 to 94. I, in that time, got married to my wife, Debbie. We have 2 boys and 2 grandchildren. I then also, started to do my matric, started to study, because I wanted to see myself, doing something in life and become a role model. I was always involved in politics. 1990, I joined the National Party, because you remember the times the people said that, the swart gevaar, the communists is taking over, and I thought, listen, I need to help, and I then was in the National Party for some time. I was the CEO of the ID, and in 2011, January, I joined the ACDP, where I became the councillor, and then 2014, I was elected to the provincial parliament, and I still sit on safety and security. We call it police oversight and community safety. And I also sit on education in the province. So that is, I am an ordained pastor. I studied theology, and after that, I studied leadership and governance, and then I also did, political science. So I always try to study and to improve myself, because people usually say, I don't know if you know that, but people usually say, the politicians, they're not educated and all of that. And I wanted just to be a very positive role model for our community, the community where I come from, to tell people that you can make something of yourself in life. So that in a nutshell is Ferlon Christians.
Yeah. 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 Doc, so you actually a boykie from the Cape Flats. So you are from the Cape Flats. You're one of us. You know the struggle. You know the challenge that we face as people from the Cape Flats. You've mentioned something in your portfolio. You are on education. You are also on the safety and security. And maybe that's where we need to start. Safety and security. Safety has become an issue on the Cape Flats in Cape Town, in South Africa. And do you think that, that currently enough is being done to fight crime in Cape Town? Do you think, you grew up on the Cape Flats, the gangsters is like are keeping our people hostage, even the church is hostage. Do you think that enough is being done to protect people from Cape Town and the Cape Flats?
I actually want to answer that in two parts. You see, we must actually ask ourselves the question. Look, we must stop gangsterism, and we must be firm when it comes to crime. But where I don't believe that a young man grows up and says, I want to become a gangster. I don't believe that. I don't believe that youngsters wants to get involved in drugs and wants to get involved in all these things. So surely it's just not a crime problem. Surely it's a societal problem, and we look at society. But I still believe, as you said, I still believe to this day that not enough is done to stop crime in the Western Cape and in our townships. I go to the townships on a regular basis. I'm there. We engage with people, and I think more can be done in order to stop crime. But like I said, as crime, we can look at crime at one aspect, but we also look at the other aspect, and that is society. Where is society at, and how do we look at the whole of society approach? And maybe just to add, and very important to note that the Western Cape government has made 1.4 billion rand available for the safety plan, and yet as the ACDP and as myself, we don't believe enough is being done to stop crime. Are you there? Yes, if I can add, while I'm waiting, if I can add that, of course, with the approach that we have, we will do and tackle crime differently. We will work on different aspects of crime. We will also look at empowering our neighborhood watchers, our community police forums, also make sure that we get rid of the corruption within our police service, and employ more and more police, but also bolster our education system so that our learners do not drop out of school but stay in school. Maybe another question that you have asked is that, growing up in Bonteheuwel, things have just gone bad. It's just gone. There's no improvement when it comes to crime and drugs. It just seems to me that it's just continuing day in and day out. I hope that you heard all of that.
Yes, doctor. I do apologize. I lost you there, but I heard everything that you mentioned. Doc, the question, I think, you know, we we have moved away, and I want to do this in my podcast. I want to say that we've moved away as a community, also as a pastor. You will maybe agree with me, away from God. We have become an ungodly people. Do you also think that, yes, we have to blame government to a certain extent, but as a pastor, do you think it's also something that we as pastors and imams, have to fight together, because we all are stakeholders in this, and we all need to fight, crime. It is a criminal is practically in most cases somebody that's unemployed. It's a child that didn't get disciplined or wasn't disciplined in a lot of cases. It can also be a child that, where the parents just left the child to raise him or herself. Hulle sê nou, nowadays, the ouers is meer gehoorsaam as wat die kinders is. Do you think as community people, we also need
Yeah, if I can just answer that. Yes, I believe what you are saying. You asked me the question. It's a whole of society approach. It's just not the police's job to stop crime. I always say that, the community knows best. The community know where the drug lord stays. The community knows where the weapons are hidden. Community knows what's happening. And, community must become the eyes and ears of the police. But maybe the other thing that is maybe very important is that we will have to work together as a community to fight crime. We cannot just fight crime and let police fight crime. But I just want to answer maybe this to you. We in the ACDP believes that everything starts in the home. One of our biggest problems that we have in communities is absent fathers. Our young boys are looking for positive role models, and they get the positive role model at the gangster that
That's
drives
right.
a nice car and have all the chains. But we need present fathers that is there to discipline, there to help, there to advise.
Yes.
So you are right. We must first get our family in order. The saying, when it's a strong family, it's a strong community, it's a strong province. So it's just not, like you said, not the police's problem. But I wanted to just bring in other thing that you said. I still think, and we'll maybe get to that, but I still think we need to fix our education system, keep our youngsters in school and not drop out to become gangsters. So that is the other issue I'm struggling
That's
with,
right.
keeping our youngsters in school.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Mm.
So I still believe that when it comes to schooling, we should make school more attractive to our youngsters. Some of our children just go to school because of any other reason, but we must know that when a youngster goes to school, education can actually take you out of poverty. Education, a lot of our youngsters drop out of school. And I think you also saw that the unemployment rate for our youngsters is unacceptable. And so I believe it's just not the police, like you said. I believe the family's got the responsibility, church got the
That's right.
responsibility, the mosque got the responsibility, schooling's got everything should work together in order to resolve this problem?
Doc, I saw one of your videos a couple of weeks back where you went to a school, and I think the problem was at the school that they don't accept children in that area. I think that's one of our biggest problems in on the Cape Flats. A lot of our children need to go out of the area to other schools because of, there is too little high schools, there's too little primary schools. We have an influx in number when it comes to the people on the Cape Flats. We haven't decreased, we have in fact triple.
If I can just anticipate the question, because I see our host is breaking up, but if I can just anticipate the question is that our youngsters need to get out of our townships because of inadequate schooling and not enough schooling there. Now, let me say that is a major problem, but I want to bring, I just anticipating your question by saying you were saying that there's not enough schools in the townships and our children need to get out of the school. But I want to give you a bigger problem. I want to give you a bigger problem today. And this is where I am adamant that schooling is not fair. Schooling is not equal. I want to give you a bigger problem. Do you know in Manenberg, you've got Manenberg High School, you've got Phoenix High School, and then you've got a School of Skills Silverstream. In Bonteheuwel, you have Acadia High School, you've got Moderdam High School, and you have Bonteheuwel High School. Do you know, out of those 6 schools, only one school give pure maths. No other school give pure maths. So in Manenberg, you don't have a school that give pure maths. In Bonteheuwel, out of the 3 schools, you have one school that gives pure maths. It means that the system is telling your child, stay in that area, you cannot become a medical doctor, you cannot become a veterinarian, you cannot be a lawyer, because you need pure maths in order to do that. So this system that we have is an unfair system, and it's against. So the child that's born in Bonteheuwel or in Heideveld and in Manenberg already is born with a disadvantage because they stay in that area. See, we're bringing up a lot today, but I hope that the viewers can hear me. So that's why when we get talented youngsters to want to do something with their life, the parents usually wants to get them into a school in a different area that offer them the subjects of choice and not subjects that they are forced to do. And that is the unequal society that we still live in. That is still the unequal society that we are struggling with. So it's heartbreaking. And that's why the initial question that I have is, how do we retain our learners in school? How do we keep them in school? And that is maybe a big point of discussion, that we don't have this huge dropout rates when it comes to our township schools. And so when you reduce the dropout level, it means that your gangsterism will be reduced, because youngsters have a better option now to do something with their lives.
Yeah. Doc, and that also brings me to the following question. If you go into our communities now, according to stats, we are supposed to be also a very large population on the Cape Flats communities. I think when you go into our areas, and I think we must talk about this, things that we don't talk about. Most of the people working in our communities are not from the communities. And I think and I think that's a problem because it's quite expensive to stay in Hanover Park and to work in Cape Town. Whereas if I can get a job at McDonald's or KFC in Hanover Park, in Manenberg, I will make a little bit of money because like the cost of living is quite expensive. But I also think that government is unfair in the quota system where people of the Cape Flats are not being employed. It's almost like we're being set up to be uneducated, we're being set up to be unemployed, we're being set up to be failures. What do you think about it? Because I think there's quite a big thing where, and I don't want to bring race into this, but we can see what's happening on the Cape Flats where our people don't find jobs in their communities.
No, I want to agree with you. I want to agree with on that. Um, as the ACDP, we also believe that people must have employment closer to their homes. Now, let me give you this. You said that. Now, let me give you another scenario. When somebody lives in Mitchell's Plain and must travel to Cape Town, right? And getting up early hours of the morning, traveling to Cape Town, it's expensive. Traveling back from Cape Town, you also spend less time with your family. And that is a major problem, spending less time with your family. So we will have to, the ACDP, I spoke about it on a number of occasions. The ACDP is against this Employment Equity Act because this Employment Equity Act says that people will lose their jobs over the next 5 years. And it's unacceptable. And we need to work these things out, get people employed close to their homes. So not only do they, save on their traveling costs, but they also have more time to do chores at home, to look after their children, because we know many of the mothers and fathers go work and they leave their children at home. And that is a major concern. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, and we'll have to do something to say, but why do our people need to travel so far, and why don't they get employment where they live? And that is the solution to and solving many problems when you address that.
Doc, and I agree with you because those children are at home. While the parents is in town, there's nobody really to look after them. We're already a community that has a lot of social ills, and now you still have children that are unsupervised. Whereas we're taking away families away from our families, but that was the system of the apartheid, and I don't want to bring that in, but if you destroy a family, you destroy a community. Doc, my next question to you is, and I've got it on the WhatsApp lines. I see some people posted it here. What is your stance on 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 coalition? Do you think that coalition is the way to go? Because a lot of parties are now forming coalitions, and that is the only way how you get the corrupt parties out. Do you think that is something that the ACDP will be part of in 2024?
Look, the important thing is when it comes to a coalition, we want to bring, as you know, it's always good to be part of government, right? That's the important thing. So when you talk about coalitions, you're talking about parties working together for the better of the citizens. You don't want a party to have an absolute majority, because you also know, and I know, when you have absolute power corrupts, because nobody can keep you accountable. So we will, as the ACDP, we are working extremely hard to get a good percentage of the vote, and we will have to look at after elections who got what, and see, where who do you work with going forward. So I believe that it will be so good if parties don't get an absolute majority and they forced to work together in order to make a better society, a better country for all of our people that live here.
And I do agree with you, Doc. I think also one of our big challenges that we currently have is the open borders. And this also adds to the crime that we're experiencing. I mean, Doc, you have seen how it looks in Weinberg. You have obviously seen how it looks in Cape Town, in Belleville. We have, I'm not saying foreigners can't come and live here, but I'm talking about illegal foreigners. We have people that fled their countries, as criminals, and now they are living amongst us. What is your stand on this? If the ACDP wins 2024 in Cape Town, will these illegal foreigners be moved? Will the borders be closed?
Yeah, look, the important thing is, as you said, everything goes with illegal. There's a lot of foreigners that is in South Africa legally that contributes to the country, to our universities. But we're talking about illegal people entering the country. Borders, our government is a joke. We must secure our borders. We must keep, because you must remember the guys that come illegally in is the guys with drugs, is the guys that comes and mess this country. So we must be very strong when people come in illegally. They must be removed. We welcome legal people that contribute to the country, but illegal people must be killed, must be kept out of our country, because but the biggest problem that we have is our borders are not secured, and we must secure our border and get rid and take the illegal immigrants out of our country. We don't need them. And as you said, some of them are connected to gangs, some of them come with drugs, and we don't need that in our country. So you're 100% correct. But I want to add that a lot of the legal people, the people that come and add to South Africa, to build South Africa, those people we should welcome, but not illegal immigrants that comes to the country.
Yeah. I do agree with you, Doc, and I think we need to draw the line between legal. There is a difference between legal here and illegal here. Doc, as we continue with this conversation, I want to just bring it maybe to your attention. Many of the people also living on the Cape Flats. Now we know that the Good Party has a saying that expropriation without compensation, and that is what they stand for. They will. There's a lot of things they will do to give property back to the people. But I want to ask you, as a citizen of the Cape Flats, you know the history very well. I don't think I can teach you anything. You know the struggle. Our properties has been removed from us, has been taken from us illegally, from our parents, from our grandparents, and you always only hear of 2 or 3 houses that's being given back to those people that lost their properties. But there's thousands of people, most of them are living on the Cape Flats. How will you address this matter, especially when it comes to the housing? I think most of our people are living in backyards, and then these are people that come from grandmothers, grandfathers, fathers that own properties, and they were illegally, forcefully removed, with the Group Act of the 1950s Group Acts. How will the ACDP address this matter? Because this is something that we need to talk about, the housing problem in the Western Cape.
Yeah, so there's of course a couple of things that I need to mention first. The first thing is, the ANC for a long time has asked people to come forward, and they messed it up completely. They have not restored the houses and taken away from people. So as the ACDP, we always say, when it comes to expropriation without compensation, we cannot work like that. We cannot work with, we just take land and we don't give anything back. So with the ACDP, what we are saying, and it's very important to say, there must be proof, if land is taken away from somebody, that land must be returned. But we must look at where's the merits, where's any paperwork, what do we have? because everybody will come and say land, 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 but there should be some proof when we return back land to people. But we cannot just take land and give it to somebody else because you say it's your land. So we must be very, very careful when it comes to expropriation without compensation. We don't, as the ACDP, believe in just taking land. And the ANC, of course, is driving this agenda. The EFF is driving this agenda, of course, very hard. But we believe that you must compensate when you expropriate. But also, people must come with the necessary proof. There must, of course, be some documents. We cannot just run left, right, and center because somebody has said, I've lost land. So that is the first issue. The second issue that you've mentioned is, of course, houses and people staying in backyards. You spoke about people staying in backyards. So I dealt with the expropriation, but I want to deal with the people living in backyards. I don't know if you know that people get houses and people sell those houses and they move back. So what provincial government has done is that you cannot, if you move into a house, you must at least stay for 8 years in your house before you can sell it, because people were moving in, sell it, and move out again. But maybe this is the other thing that I want to bring in. Why do people move, waiting for a house for so long, move into a house and just move out again? Why should they do that? Because of unemployment. So the first thing that we will have to look at, how do we get people employed so that when they're in a house, they can afford to stay in the house? Because at the moment, people is unemployed in a house, they fall in arrears with everything, and they sell their house and they move out. So, like I say, we will have to see how do we get the economy of the country right so that people can be employed and be productive, and not move into a house, lose the house because of not paying. And when people punch in the electric meter, they buy the units, they punch in, and there's deductions there, and they don't even get the number of units because the city of Cape Town has decided, listen, if you're in arrears with your water, if you punch it in, you lose those units. So there's still a lot to do in the towns. There's still a lot to do on the Cape Flats. We've got a lot of hard work to do, and I'm willing. And our party as the ACDP, we want to work to bridge those inequalities that we have.
Doc, you mentioned now that what the DA has done. So if you're in arrears with your debt, then they will deduct money from your electricity box.
Yeah.
There's many things that they do, and a lot of things that they also don't do. The biggest problem that people are experiencing now with the city of Cape. Look, I just lost today now. There's many people that the stories that is coming out now of the corruption happening in the city of Cape Town, Malusi Boy and many others, especially when it comes to the housing problem. Do you think we tend to say that the ANC is corrupt, but there's a lot of cases that is being made against the city of Cape Town for corruption as well. Do you think that they are hiding themselves away, behind that blue T-shirts, and there's a lot of corruption still happening? I haven't really seen, and I'll be very honest with you, I haven't seen a lot of improvement on the Cape Flats, in the last 16 years since the city has been taking over.
I must agree with you that there's not a lot of improvement. I walk in the streets, and I go to Manenberg quite often. I go to Bonteheuwel quite often, and I'm in the streets with our people, and there's not a lot of improvement. it's heart sore. It's heart sore to see that our people is still living in poverty, still have the sewage running down the streets, still having the same old problems. So I want to tell you that we are having a major problem, because if people can say there's improvement, but go to the townships, there's hardly an improvement in the townships. People are still living the same in abject poverty, and it's hard sore to say that. Just the other day, let me just say, in the provincial parliament on Thursday, a question was asked to Premier Alan Winde to ask about the corruption, because there was corruption in the Western Cape municipalities. So he gave his word that they work on, corruption, and they had 8 cases in the Western Cape. He says there's 8 cases because they are asking people to come forward. So when people, communities, or whoever knows that there's corruption when it comes to officials or politicians, they must come to the fore. They must report these cases, because when it's corruption, it's the ratepayers and taxpayers' money that goes missing. So we must ask communities to come forward and to report any cases of corruption or fraud.
I do agree with the doctor. I think, like I said earlier on, it comes down to us. We are all stakeholders in this, and we all need to stand up against corruption. We all need to become whistleblowers. There's one of our viewers actually here that has a question. Saul Bester, how is the matter of service delivery to our communities going to be dealt with? How will informal settlements be minimized? I think that is a big question. Nowadays, we have a lot of informal settlements. It all comes down to the social ills. It also comes down to the unemployment. What is it that the ACDP will do to minimize informal settlements? Because on the other side of the mountain, it looks beautiful, but on this side of the mountain, people are living like I said, in backyard. They are backyard dwellers, and everywhere there's informal settlement that is rising because of influx and also because of poverty.
Look, the informal settlements is a problem because the people that I believe that informal settlements, there is a move. We get a lot of people from other provinces to the Western Cape. Let me just tell you, schooling, because I sit on education, learners, we get approximately 18 to 24,000 learners every year from other parts of the country. So informal settlements, your problem is that what they've done, they erect the informal settlement on a Friday because they know law enforcement are off duty, or they're not that visible on weekends, because there's that law to say, if you're there for 48 hours, you cannot be removed. So it's a huge problem, informal settlements. But the biggest problem is that, if there's a political agenda behind these informal settlements that gets erected, and I know that the province has made a concerted effort to stop informal settlements, because it's just rising every time when you're there. You just see informal settlements. So the only way you can stop that is to develop other parts of the country, develop the Eastern Cape, because people come to the Western Cape because they think they're going to get jobs, a better quality of living. We need to make sure that other parts of the country also offers that opportunity. So I'm saying the informal settlements, there's a political agenda, I believe, behind it, and that's why they come in on Fridays and do it. But it's a problem that we are facing, and we'll have to put our heads together and say, how do we resolve this problem? People coming now, I'm saying we're getting 18 to 24,000 learners every year in the Western Cape. Gauteng is getting double that amount of people in the Western Cape. And the problem that you have, it put a strain on services that's already very limited in the Western Cape. So it's a huge problem. But we will have to address that and use, and the biggest problem, I think, is that they go into water-ridden areas, and when floods come or when banks overflow, these people are low-lying areas, and they are flooded. So it's a huge problem, but we'll have to deal with the problem because it's once in Africa, and like you say, we don't want to look at race. Human beings as human beings, and everybody is looking for a better future. So we will have to put heads together. Like you say, it's just not government's responsibility. It's all of society responsibility. How do we address these problems with these people, just putting informal settings left, right, and center? The other question, service delivery. I think service delivery is lacking at the moment. People are not getting quality services. And the ACDP is a strong believer to say we must devolve powers to the lowest level. The ANC want to keep all the powers at the central level, but we should devolve powers so that we have a better service to our communities, because power is devolved to the lowest level. I don't know, years back, back, we had so many municipalities. We had South Peninsula, we have Tygerberg, we have Central, and that is devolving powers to the lowest level so that we can give quality service to our people. So don't centralize the power, devolve the power so that we can give better services to the people.
And I agree with you, Doctor, on that one. I just have a few questions here. One of the questions is from Melanie. Now, Melanie asked the following question: Stanley, the Bella Bill, what is the ACDP stance on the Bella Bill?
Look, the Bella Bill, I think, is from the hell, from hell. The Bella Bill is from hell. The Bella Bill, of course, with the Bella Bill, we oppose the Bella Bill for various reasons. Section 41 of the Bella Bill gives the minister the power to make regulations as she wish. So number one, the Bella Bill in Section 41 gives the minister unlimited powers when it comes to regulations. So you cannot give a minister a blanket check, a blank to say you can do as you want to. Number one. Number two, in the Western Cape, they're already doing it. The ACDP fought against the sale of alcohol at our schools for fundraising. We, as the ACDP, fought against that. The DA pushed it through. Now, the ANC with the Bella Bill is now doing that for the entire country, where alcohol can be consumed and sold at fundraisers at schools. So we against that. And then with the Bella Bill, they want to be very strict when it comes to homeschooling and give regulations when it comes to homeschooling. We think that if people want to homeschool their children and they want to have the capacity to do that, let them do it. Don't go and restrict them for homeschooling. They also want to limit the powers of school governing bodies. We think that is extremely wrong. And the other thing that they want to do, they also want to determine you when it comes to sexuality education, with this unisex toilets. And your boy can be a girl at school and vice versa, have a girl's dress on when you're a boy. This is that's why I say it's from hell, from the pit of hell. All these, the Bella Bill, the ACDP opposed the Bella Bill because it's really driving an ungodly agenda.
Doc, you have now spoken on the Bella Bill and also on the same-sex toilets, and I think that is basically what is going to happen. Personally, living in South Africa, crime is out of control. You can't allow a man and a woman in this country, in this city, to use the same toilet. You're putting somebody's life in danger. Somebody messaged me now and actually asked me, what is your stance, with the DA on their Pride, promoting Pride? A lot of Christians feel that the DA should not take sides and the DA should not promote something. The DA should, allow people to do what they want to do, but the DA should focus on politics and running this country. Do you think that the DA, as well as a few other parties, are pushing an agenda there? There is some of the comments that are coming in on the WhatsApp lines, and what is the ACDP stand on that?
Look, I'm very firm on that. I don't know. You must go to the ACDP Western Cape Facebook page, and also Provincial Parliament, there's clips where I spoke against Pride Month. I said, today's program I did, the program is called Table Talk with Dr. Ferlon, so I have that on a Monday. And today specifically, I addressed the Pride Month, because you remember that June is Youth Month. Now they make it Pride Month. It's almost stealing our Youth Month away. And so there's so much to do when it comes to youth and not pride. So we are against Pride Month. God created male and female. That is what we believe. We love the individual, but we cannot condone the lifestyle of that individual. So we are against, and we were strongly against Woolworths for promoting this Pride Month so aggressively. We were against that, and we're still against it. And if you look at George, the Garden, the DA municipality in George, they had June 14, 15, 16, 17, Pride Month, Mr. and Mrs. Pride. They had workshop on the LGBT community. They had all of these things driving this agenda. No, man, we cannot do that. And like you say, there's other political parties. The ACDP, so far, is a party that stands against that. And we must not. I don't know if I must just throw this in. On Thursday in Provincial Parliament, I got up and say, because now they're telling the nursery school children, the teachers must teach the children a gender neutral. You no longer him or her. It must be gender neutral. So even when it comes to nursery rhymes and kids songs, it must, the manual, the Minister of Basic Education has said these manual must be gender sensitive. How far will they go to indoctrinate our children from a young age? I'm against that. My job as a parent is to teach my child, not for the government to indoctrinate. They must educate and not indoctrinate our children with all these gay agendas.
Doc, yeah, there we go. I lost it there now. But you know what, Doc, I think, a lot of people have these questions and a lot of parties don't want to answer. This is the questions where people, want to stop talking. And I do appreciate your opinion. I believe that everybody have the right to express themselves, and we need to respect that. Doc, during the lockdown, you guys were very active, and you guys have won a lot of people over to the ACDP. I can see that. I could see that was the fact that you stood up against the vaccination. People shouldn't be forced to take vaccination, and I think not only in Cape Town but across the country, the ACDP has been very active and in working for the people. Do you think that has been one of the things that will win you a lot of more votes for 2014?
I know it's going to give us a lot of votes. Let me give you two things. The first thing is that we took government to court to say that ivermectin must be rolled out to communities. The second thing that we did was we said when it comes to the vaccine, it must be a choice. You mustn't be forced. It must be a choice. And you know that we as the ACDP paid for people at the CCMA they were dismissed. We did not ask them a cent to represent them. We had a lawyer representing people at the CCMA, and they got their jobs back. So we fought government, head on to make sure that people are represented. So we fought with our lawyer, fought big companies for people to keep their jobs, and people are still coming back and says, do you know, I've got my job and the ACDP has not charged us a cent. We have not asked people a cent to fight for them in this lockdown. So we were very vocal because we also believe, why didn't government roll out ivermectin? Because a lot of people know that ivermectin worked against the COVID. And we fought for that, and we fought that people retain their jobs. We fought that people get re-employed where they're fired. And we have many, many success stories. And I believe because of our stance, we will have many people voting for the ACDP in 2024.
Doc, thank you so much for answering that question. I have a gentleman that just messaged me now, Andre Schaffer. So this is my take on it, and this will maybe give a little bit of more fat to the question of Andre. There's a lot of churches on the Cape Flats, and I believe if all these churches stand together, and these churches, work with the ACDP, there's a big possibility that the ACDP can take the Western Cape. We need to remember this, and I always use this as an example. This is what the DA did. The DA went to the church, to the pastors, Pastor Clive Fasters and those guys back in the day, and they said to them, "Come work with us." And that is how that is actually how the DA grew in Cape Town, because of the churches. Do you feel that the churches are not playing their role in supporting ACDP? Is that something that you guys are working on? Because if we have the church, there is more churches than any other religious institution on the Cape Flats. Do you think there is something that can still push the numbers for 2014, for 2024?
So in the past, like you said, churches did not support us. Some churches did. But because of the hopelessness that we're in, we see many doors opening. I cannot tell you how many meetings I have with large groups of pastors. Now, every weekend we're at different places, every weekdays. People, pastors, churches are inviting us to come and speak because they see that there is a solution to defeat the DA at the ballot box. ACDP with a record that can stand, that stood firm for all this time. We always have the challenges of parties popping up now, just before the election. The ACDP's got history for fighting for the church, fighting for freedom and all of those stuff. The ACDP got the track record, and we see now. I'm addressing now in the next week, I'm addressing 150 pastors in one area. Then I've got 30 pastors in another area. Then I've got 40 pastors there. All over, pastors looking at the ACDP and saying that you are the hope. You can bring back order. You can bring back respect. You can bring back integrity and honesty. So people are really, pastors, big names are really flocking now to the ACDP and say, how can we help to build the ACDP so that you can become the government of There's pastors that tells me that you can become the government, exactly what you said, because 80% of the Western Cape in the country is Christians. Why don't we put our heads together and make it work? So I am extremely excited that the ACDP is going to do extremely well in this election, and because of all the pastors coming to us and saying, listen, we want to join, we want to let you grow, and we want you to succeed.
Doc, and that takes me into the following questions. We still have a few minutes left. We still have about 5 minutes left. But this takes me into the question. It is good. I'm going to be honest with you. I like talking to you, sir. You're answering my questions, and you were asking it, without any censoring. And I love that way we're being honest. Doc, what I want to ask you is that, is the ACDP exclusive only to the Christians? Can Muslims also join? Non-believers also join? Because at the end of the day, many people don't go to church. Many people don't attend church. We have the issues where people got hurt in the church. We have Muslim brothers and sisters that are also looking for a party to join that can bring back godly values. There's many similarities. Would you say they are welcome to your party? Can they join your party? Are you willing to sit down with imams, people of other religion, and see how you can bring godliness back together as a diverse group of people?
I want to answer you the following way. We welcome anybody to the ACDP. There's Muslim people that's members of the ACDP because they say we believe in your values. When it comes to homosexuality, when it comes to abortion, when it comes to all of these things, Muslims are saying, listen, how can we help to build this party? We have unbelievers. We will never be able to take this province if we don't allow the unbeliever to vote for us, to become a member of us. So we invite people to join and to help build because they believe in the values that we stand for. You know, like we all believe that a child should respect the parent. We all believe these values that we've lost over the period of time. So we, as the ACDP, welcome people to come and say, listen, if we are the government in 2024, we're not going to be the government for Christians alone. We're going to be the government for everybody. And we need to treat everybody fair and equal because we want this province to be a prosperous province. So irrespective of who you are, we need you to build the ACD so that we can become the government of 2024.
Doc, there's so many things I still want to ask you, but time has caught up with us. But I want to just leave you with the following question, and maybe you can answer it and maybe just end off for us. It's 2024, and the ACDP won. You have won the Western Cape. What is the first 3 things that is crucial that you as Dr. Ferlon Christians will look at to bring change in this city of ours, especially on the Cape Flats?
There's a couple of things that I want to look at almost immediately. Load shedding is a problem. I believe as a province, we can deal with load shedding, and there should not be load shedding because of fake business. The other problem that you said, it's crime. How do we get people together and say, how do you address crime? How do we keep our youngsters in school so that they can become productive? You know, the same with our healthcare. Our old people are sitting in queues, and when they're in queues, it rains and they have no shelter. There's so much that we can do, but I would like to look at crime, load shedding, education. How do we bring dignity back in our hospitals and in our clinics? So there's a lot of things that we'll do immediately, because I believe when we put our heads together, we can solve these problems. You know, I still believe not one person with a solution. If we get everybody together and say, the man in the street, you know, why are you sitting on the street? You know, those issues we can address. But crime, load shedding, when it comes to our healthcare system, our hospitals and those type of things, let's deal with that almost immediately. I believe that you can fix quickly. And then we can look at how do we get our youth employed? How do we get productive? How do we look at other areas where we can make them feel good to produce something in life so that we can become successful? I just want to close with this. I believe that there's hope for this province. There's hope for this country. People must just vote right. And I believe the ACDP is a solution. We are a solution-driven party. When it comes to anything, we have the solution. We must just get the opportunity to govern, to bring about change. So the Bible is very clear. If I can close with this, when the righteous is in authority, the people rejoice. When the ungodly is in authority, people groan. Give us opportunity so that the people can rejoice.
Doc, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for participating. I wish to have you back in the studio again. We are doing something next month. I will send you an invite. We will have a few of the other leaders as well, Neil De Beer and some others. And I would like to have you in the studio, Dr. what's his name, Jerome Swats also. I would like to invite you guys, and because I feel, after the conversation is good and well, but how do we take hands, and how do I tell you, Doc, I want to work with you, I want to work with Neil. How do we make things work? So we have a plan for next month to meet up with other politicians, other stakeholders, and see how we can work. And we would like to invite you, but I will contact you regarding it, because the time for talking is now finished. We're heading for 2024, and we need to see how can we change this Cape Town, the city of Cape Town. How can we change South Africa coming 2024? Doc, thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Ferlon Christians. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Sometimes you guys are not going to like what you hear. People are very firm on what they believe, and we need to respect it. And we are doing something where, I spoke to Neil, we are busy, we had a conversation with Neil de Beer and with Pagat and Stanter Kitty and a few other politicians. We want to stop talking. I feel we had this conversation with many of the politicians over the last few years on this platform, and I feel it's time we have to sit down with them and a few of you. So I'm looking at the venue for July, where we can sit down and where we can talk and say, this is the way forward. And we need to keep people accountable. We need to keep national government accountable, and we need to keep local government accountable. The time for us for wasting time has come to an end. We need to find solutions. We need to find possible solutions. People are dying in the hospitals. People are dying on our streets. People are dying, at work. This place has become, it has become an evil place to live in. And for that reason, we are going to have to stand together, irrespective of what you believe in, what I believe in. I think we need to find a common ground and bring humanity back into our community, to bring godliness back into our community, and start being, the people that we want to be. We must stop waiting for people to deliver us. We wait for this politician and that one. Now it's time for us as individuals to take, the stand and say, as a mother, as a father, as an uncle, as an aunt, as a grandfather, as a grandmother, I'm taking my stand against the ungodliness, that's happening in South Africa. So I will keep you guys posted. This is definitely happening. I can't invite all of you, but please do send me a message. Please do stay in contact with me. I'll share more with you, but this will definitely happening in the next couple of weeks, guys. Have an awesome evening, and God bless you. Cheers.